You know that moment in the morning when the alarm goes or a bird calls outside your tent and you have this big decision. Do I roll over and sleep again or do I actually get up? In Kumrat Valley, next to the Panjkora River, that decision becomes very real.
And most of the time, let's be honest, people choose the blanket. They hear the river, they feel that cold in the air, and they think, nope, next time.
Exactly. But on this one morning I want to talk about, we didn't. We unzipped the tent, or you can imagine a simple wooden room door creaking open, and there it was. Pale fog hugging the Panjkora, thin mist between those dark pine trunks, and the sky just turning from black to blue-gray.
And the best part? The whole camp was quiet. No jeeps revving yet, no loudspeakers. Even the chai hotels were half asleep. Just that low, constant growl of the river and a couple of sleepy roosters arguing in the distance.
So instead of planning some big jeep mission deeper into the forest, we said, today, let's keep it simple. One gentle morning walk. A small loop. Nothing hero level. Just 45 minutes to 1 hour of slow, soft Kumrat.
This episode is for that exact hour. If you're already in Kumrat, you woke up, you've heard the river all night, and you're thinking, what do I do before breakfast? This is your guide.
All right, first 5 minutes. Before you become adventurous, you become sensible. We stepped back inside, did a quick layer check. It was that kind of cold where your nose is freezing, but the sun will be kind later.
Yeah, so no need for some heavy-duty expedition jacket. We just did one light inner shirt, a warm hoodie or fleece, and a simple windproof or waterproof layer on top. Something you can unzip or tie around your waist once the sun hits the valley floor.
And then came the classic debate. Shoes or slippers? My heart always wants slippers because you feel so free. But my brain looked at the wet grass, the mud patches, and the small rocks and said, Sharjeel, please behave.
I was on the side of the brain that day. Closed shoes with grip, 100%. If you remember one thing, remember this. If the grass is wet, your socks should not be. Wear proper shoes, even for a short walk. You'll thank yourself when you're not tiptoeing around puddles.
We also threw one extra pair of socks into a small day bag. It sounds small, but if somebody steps into a hidden puddle or muck, dry socks can save the mood of the whole morning.
After that, we did something I really recommend, and most people skip. We walked over to the camp owner and said, Bye, show us one safe path next to the river. Just one clear track. Nothing adventurous, good for families.
And he didn't give a whole lecture. He just pointed with his hand, drew a kind of half circle in the air, and said, Go this way, stick to the flat track, and don't go past that big rock near the bend. That was it, our soft morning loop.
So we stepped out. The first touch of the morning was the ground. You feel that dampness instantly. The grass was cold and heavy with dew, and as we walked, you could hear this gentle squish under the shoes. Not deep mud, but definitely not city park dry.
One thing we learned fast, not every path is your path. Some trails looked like small shortcuts, but they tilted down sharply toward the river, or they curved behind someone's private camp area. We avoided those completely.
Yeah, a good rule is if it's wide and obviously used by many people, you're probably fine. If it's narrow, slanting, or it looks like a track only animals use to reach the water, skip it. Especially near a strong river like the Panjkora. You never know where the bank is undercut or slippery.
So we followed this broad, almost trodden path along the side of the camp. Tents behind us, trees in front of us, river sound on our right. Every few steps, the fog opened like a curtain, and we got these quick, magical glimpses of white water running between big, dark rocks.
And then we reached the water edge, or at least as close as we decided was safe. This is where families and friends need a small rule. We picked a flat, wide patch where the ground was level and solid under our feet, with no sudden drops to the river.
That's where the rock came in. We said, okay, nobody goes closer to the river than this big rock. Simple. For kids, that's a clear visual boundary. You can still hear the water, smell that cold, fresh river air, but you're not playing hero on a slippery edge.
And then we did something that honestly felt like a small reset button. We both took out our phones and then put them away again. I quietly set a 1-minute timer in my pocket and said, no photos, no videos for 60 seconds. Just stand. Just breathe.
That 1 minute felt longer than a whole Jeep ride. You suddenly hear layers, the main roar of the river, the tiny splashes near the stones, a crow far away, maybe the distant call to prayer from some small village mosque, softened by the fog.
And your own breath changes. At first it's fast, city style. Then slowly it matches the rhythm of the river. That's the moment when Kumrat really enters your memory. Not when you're hanging out of a Jeep window shouting over the engine, but when you're just quietly existing by the water.
After our 1 minute rule, sure, we took a few photos. We're not saints, but we had already captured the real thing inside our heads first, and that felt different.
From there, we noticed a small side track bending into the pines. Again, it was clearly used, not some random animal trail. So we left the open riverside and slipped under those tall, dark trunks.
Inside the pines, everything changed. The sound of the river became softer, like someone turned the volume down. The smell turned into this mix of wet earth, sap, and a faint hint of wood smoke drifting from some far-off campfire.
And somewhere deeper in the trees, you hear tiny bells, probably a couple of goats or cows with a herder slowly moving them to fresh grass. That's your reminder. This is not just a tourist place. This is someone's workspace, someone's home valley.
Exactly. So in the pines, we dropped our volume. No loud music, no shouting. When we passed by tents or simple wooden rooms tucked between trees, we didn't walk close. We stayed on the open path, didn't stare in, and definitely didn't step into any area that looked like a private family space.
And if you do see a herder, a worker, or anyone local just starting their day, a simple salam and a small nod are enough. You don't need to pull out the camera every time you see someone in traditional clothes. Let people do their morning like you're doing yours.
We followed that path until we started to smell another important thing: breakfast. Somewhere ahead, hidden between trees and colorful plastic chairs, a small dhaba was waking up.
This is my favorite part of any walk, the return with a reward. We picked the most modest-looking dhaba, not the loudest one. A couple of wooden benches, a gas cylinder, maybe a tandoor glowing softly. You can feel the heat spilling out onto the cold morning air.
We sat down, shook the dew off our shoes, and ordered the classics, chai and hot parathas. Nothing fancy. While we waited, we rested our slightly damp shoes near the tandoor. Not too close, just enough that the warmth started to chase away that chill.
Around us, the valley slowly turned from sleepy to alive. A Jeep groaned to life somewhere upstream. A kid ran past with a football. Somebody argued about eggs versus omelet. The fog lifted little by little, and suddenly the same forest we walked through in silence was full of voices.
But we had already taken our quiet share. That's the beauty of a short, early loop. You get the soft version of Kumrat before the busy version wakes up.
Now, before we wrap, let's do a few mini planning notes, because the same valley can feel totally different in different seasons.
Number 1, mud and leeches, especially in the monsoon or just after rain. If the ground is very wet, keep your loop extra short and extra flat. Closed shoes with decent grip, full-length trousers, and again, that spare pair of socks in the bag are your best friends.
If you're nervous about leeches, stay on drier, more open ground. Avoid pushing into lush bushes or very wet, thick grass. And when you come back, just do a quick check of ankles and socks before you fully relax with chai.
Number 2, layers. Mornings in Kumrat can be chilly, even in summer, but they warm up fast. Think in layers you can remove one by one. A light waterproof or windproof jacket on top saves you from drizzle and that sharp river breeze.
Number 3, simple safety rules. Pick a clear loop that you can finish in 45 to 60 minutes without rushing. Stay on flat, obvious tracks that your camp or guest house staff pointed out. The moment any section feels too narrow, sloping, or like it's tilting toward a drop, just turn around. There's no ego in a morning walk.
If you're with kids or elders, shrink the loop even more. Maybe you don't go all the way into the pines. Maybe your whole walk is just from camp to that one flat riverside patch and back. The goal is to return warm, dry, and smiling, not exhausted and shivering.
And if you're camping in a tent versus staying in a wooden room, your starting point might be a bit closer to the river already. In that case, your loop could simply be tent to safe river spot, a slow stroll along the bank, small detour into nearby trees where it's clearly public, and then back to your camp kitchen for breakfast.
So here's the simple Kumrat soft morning formula in one breath. Wake up just after Fajr light, do a quick layer and shoe check. Ask your host for one safe public track. Walk on flat ground to a wide river spot, set a clear boundary rock, put the phone away for a minute, dip into the pines respectfully, and end with chai and paratha at a small dhaba while the valley wakes up around you.
If you want help remembering all that when you're actually packing or planning, we've put together a tiny checklist for you. Things like layers, shoes, safety rules, and a little reminder about forest etiquette and river respect.
You can grab it on our website. Just visit the travel diary page for this episode, River Fog and Forest Light. And you'll find a printable riverside walk checklist and a simple one-page forest etiquette reminder. Save it on your phone or print it and tuck it into your backpack.
And next time you're in Kumrat, when that morning decision comes, blanket or foggy river walk, you'll be ready to choose the memory instead of the extra hour of sleep.
From me, Sharjeel, and from Abdullah, thanks for walking with us this morning. Until the next valley and the next story, travel gently and let the river set the pace.